Guys, how's it going? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I know it's been a few days, right? It's been a couple days, but 3 days, I think. I was feeling a little bit poor. It's definitely a day for the headband. In today's episode, this isn't a podcast, in today's video we have got like catering company drama. Now I first came across this because they were talking about a wedding cake. I actually have a whole entire playlist dedicated to TikTok cake drama, so if you want to go check that one out, please go do so. But this isn't just related to the cake, although what they did to that wedding cake was just an absolutely abomination. It wasn't just to do with the wedding cake, it was just to do with the catering company in general. With this woman called Brianna, she got married September 25th. She essentially came on and she was just like, the catering company who effectively ruined parts of my wedding are not willing to have a conversation with me about it until Brianna removes the Google review. And it's gotten so far that she is basically like not even in control of the Google review anymore because they have just been straight up like dirty deleting it.
Not only are they telling me that they're not going to talk to me until I remove my review, now they are just removing my reviews altogether.
And not a lot has really progressed in terms of a resolution to this, but we do have all of the deets and receipts. So let's just get on to it. I'm well aware that there has been a hell of a lot of like bridal drama going on recently. I'm sorry for the lack of range at the minute, but there just seems to be a lot of that. But there is to do with the cake. And we love a bit of cake drama, and I ain't spoken about cake drama in ages. She had a wedding coordinator. She had her main girl, who she says has been absolutely amazing. And then there was then the venue, there was then the catering company, and they said they would like handle everything, you know, from the food to actual full cake service. It had a main point of contact with this woman called Carrie. And Carrie, she had like basically only been speaking to her, but Carrie on the actual day sent someone else in her place, so she wasn't even there.
This is Greg. I don't know how to say his last name, but he's the owner of Catering Made Simple. That's who we hired. This dude was at my wedding all night long. He did not intervene one time, even after he saw things going wrong. Then there's Carrie, who's like the event and operations manager. I don't have a picture of her, so you just have to look at Greg again. I had talked to her for the entire year leading up to my wedding, and she wasn't even at my wedding and did not even send us notice that she wasn't going to be there. But she was, and still is, my main point of contact. Then there's Leah, another staff member of Catering Made Simple, who was sent in Carrie's place last minute because Carrie wasn't even at my wedding. She kind of looks like this. And this was my wedding coordinator, Amber. Love Amber. Kept me sane. They disrespected my girl Amber so bad and kept going over her head to get to me so many times that she wound up ending up in tears by the end of the night.
It kind of feels that Carrie is the only person that really had any of the information about like table placements and dietary requirements. Now, Brianna is extremely methodical and organized with this wedding. When you see, if you have a little look-see right here, of diagrams as well of where people were sitting, exactly who was eating what, where it was going, and she'd been sending all of this to Carrie.
Before I even walked down the aisle, we planned our ceremony between two periods of rain. Timing was everything. As we were about to get lined up to start, the coordinator was suddenly pulled aside by the catering staff, and they were arguing with her because they thought that our dinner was buffet style. It's not. Every single document, from the invoice, the contract, the emails, said plated service. Even had them in a color-coded seating chart with every meal, allergy, and restriction weeks before sent to Catering Made Simple. Carrie, the operations manager, had confirmed she received it. This email was multiple pages long, and Carrie, the operations manager, responded the same day and said that she got it. So much confusion that I, the bride, had to walk into the reception where they were getting dinner ready in my wedding dress minutes before my ceremony to deal with their mess. Leah tells me, well, you didn't provide place cards, so we assumed that it was buffet. I told her, no, it's plated. It's in the invoice. We never once discussed buffet. She then claimed that I never sent her any meal restrictions, and we went back and forth for a minute before I started to pull them up on my phone while simultaneously asking her why did she not have this prepared and printed. For meal restrictions, here was the layout of the venue that went over how many people were at each table and what the table number was. And on that same diagram, how many chicken and salmon were at each table and who ordered what. I'm like, where is Carrie at? She should have all of this. And that's when I found out Carrie, the only person I had communicated with for over a year with Catering Made Simple, wasn't even at my wedding.
She didn't have that long. She was then pulling out her phone. It's not a help yourself. It's a fully catered, people bring stuff down. And she even went and like obviously showed that amazing diagram situation she's got going on and said, look, I sent all this to you. And of course she was then late to her actual ceremony, and they had, as she's already said, planned it so that they were able to get married in between the part where it was not raining. As someone who lives somewhere that is rainy like 80% of the year, right, it is rainy a lot here, yeah, I would be pretty annoyed if I had planned a little respite where it's not raining and now all of a sudden it's raining.
Because of their incompetence, our ceremony was delayed. And with the rain in the forecast that day, exactly when my ceremony time was supposed to be, we almost lost our outdoor ceremony. And as bad as this was, it was only the beginning.
Place cards, like little name cards, would have been quite helpful in this situation, because of course they didn't even have the email in which it showed all the table numbers and where the food was meant to be going. So in a situation where they didn't have that, having place cards would have been good as well, but whatever, they did not want to go by that, and it had already been discussed. But once again, Carrie was not there. They sent in someone else. But the owner of Catering Made Simple, Greg, right up here, Greg was present the whole entire day, didn't step in once, and didn't say anything, to the point where Brianna didn't even know that he was the owner of the catering company until she went and Googled. And people were like, yeah, he was definitely there that day, and then saw his face. Like, how bizarre. Like, why wouldn't you just go up to Brianna and be like, hey, I'm the owner of the catering company? Have someone on that video who made a comment saying, I worked for Catering Made Simple for a year in 2017 to 2018 and still have an unpaid judgment of 10k from a civil suit. None of this is surprising and absolutely a standard. And the cake. Okay, so the next part of it is the cake. So after you've got through the ceremony, obviously there was that blip at the very beginning. She'd had to come out in her gown. She was having to pull out her phone mere moments before walking down the aisle. You then got to the cake part. Right, the cake. This cake, Brianna had planned this to a T. I'm not a connoisseur of wedding cakes because I've never gone looking for wedding cakes and I've never gotten married. I've been to weddings, but obviously I'm not the one cutting. Anyway, so I'm not like fully, I don't know, I'm not really down to know a lot about wedding cake etiquette, but from my own understanding, the top tier was meant to be wrapped and saved for Brianna and her husband, and then the bottom bit was meant to be handed out to the wedding party. She also had this great idea of where she wanted it. She wanted it on her sweetheart table or just behind it. Because she paid for the full service cake package, there was meant to be utensils, and it was supposed to be on this specific table, and it was supposed to come, and they were meant to prepare it and everything, right? They had already signed all of this off, and she actually goes and gives a hell of a lot of receipts.
This was the set that they were supposed to provide. They did not. They didn't even set it up on a bistro table. We were told that it was time to cut our cake. We scrambled around trying to find out where the cake had been set because it was not set in front of our sweetheart table like we had asked. We finally found the cake pushed to the back of our dessert table, and when it was actually time for us to cut it, there were no utensils, no plates, and no setup. This was our cake, shoved to the back of our dessert table. Here's our cake again, shoved to the back of the dessert table. And you might be noticing that there's something weird about that cake. Like, what is that board in the middle of the cake? Oh, I'll tell you. It was our cake topper. That was supposed to look like this. This cake was made by a very close friend of mine and my husband's, and it was meant to be a special part of our day. I provided a custom-made wooden topper to our caterer inside a protective frame with written instructions. They shoved the entire frame straight into the cake. It split the top tier, completely destroyed the design, and left our cake looking nothing like what we had envisioned.
First watched that, I was looking at it, I was like, but then, like, I don't see the difference. What? And then I paused the video and zoomed in a little bit. They didn't take the backing off of the wedding topper. The board is still on there, which means that they would have had to, like, put that board bit on the... It ruined the back of the cake, basically. It broke the integrity of that cake. I would be absolutely furious, because what do you mean? What do you mean? You didn't read the instructions. Personally made, right? She paid extra to have this done, which wouldn't have been cheap. Anything, we all know, anything revolving around weddings is so much money. Didn't want to think about it. She put all the instructions. She wrote, fragile. Please pop out protective wood casing around the cake topper before placing it on cake. Thank you. They looked at the cake topper on the wooden board and thought, no, I think it looks much better like this.
And then one of the staff members said, oh, we're not used to working with those kinds of cheap toppers. Custom made, not cheap, and now ruined. Let's remember that the top tier was supposed to be saved prior to serving. And this is how the cake was presented. This was the top tier. When I saw that cake, my heart sank. I looked over to my coordinator and I called her. I was like, oh my God. She came running. I pointed it out and she was furious. We went to the back where catering staff was cleaning up, tried to get an answer for why somebody would do this. And even my coordinator could not get a straight answer from staff as to why that happened. Our wedding photographer had to step in and fix our cake topper to even salvage a single good photo of it.
I'm sorry. Like, yeah, some people might be like, oh, it doesn't really matter. It's like, nah, it does. Don't mess with cake, right? All this is going on. We have Greg, the owner, who's still like slinking around, not introducing himself, knowing that there was problems in the kitchen, knowing there was problems with the catering team, knowing that there was a problem with the cake, and still didn't say or do anything. And what makes it even worse is that Brianna and her husband, right, went to cut into the cake and the cake had only just been taken out of the freezer, which means that they couldn't properly cut into it. So they actually, for their very first husband and wife eating the cake picture that you do, that wasn't actually the wedding cake. That was like the sheet cake or whatever that was right next to it. And the guests didn't even get to eat the wedding cake because the catering team served them up the sheet cake because they didn't read the instructions again.
The bottom tier of that wedding cake was supposed to be served to me, my husband, and my wedding party. Instead, I found out that my wedding party was served sheet cake. Everything we had planned and everything we had paid for was ignored. This wasn't just a mistake. It was carelessness, disrespect, and total disregard for the time, money, and love that we had poured into this entire wedding.
And as well as that, the catering company were just being rude. Like, they were just being rude to guests. They were also clearing people's plates pretty damn quickly. And Brianna even said, you know, I didn't even get to really eat much of my food or drink my water because she went to the toilet for 10 minutes, came back and her food had magically gone. We also had guests who were commenting onto her Facebook post, which is still there actually. Someone saying, I didn't want to say anything that night because it was your wedding, but it makes sense now. I noticed around 11 p.m. the catering ladies going around and clearing each table while people were on the dance floor. They were throwing away everything without asking guests first. They gathered up and threw in the garbage all the souvenir glow sticks. I had to keep ours in my hand. I stood up to say goodbye to a few people leaving and she must have reached right behind my back and took my drink. Darlene set a full drink on the table and stepped away for a moment and they snatched her drink. I told Darlene these ladies are being very rude. There was still another hour of party left and they were clearing the tables like they want to go home. Very rude.
Catering staff kept walking around asking over and over if people were done eating, like aggressively hovering over tables. I had literally only eaten half my meal at that point. I walked back and I saw my food was gone. I went into the kitchen and I said, hey, you guys took my plate and I wasn't done and I'm still hungry and also you took my water. Didn't offer to fix anything. Our staff lead then walked me across the entire reception to the bar to get a glass of water, and I could have done that myself. It still blows my mind is that the owner of Catering Made Simple, Greg, whose picture you saw in the first part, was there the entire time. He saw me ask about my food. He saw me walk into the kitchen, never once introduced himself, never once apologized, never once stepped in to make things right. He watched all of this happen from beginning to end. The disrespect, the ruined cake, the mistreatment of my coordinator. He chose to stay silent the whole night.
Just what I generally think. I think that the catering staff literally just wanted to go back home, so they were trying to tidy up and get their stuff back as quickly as possible, like rushing people because they wanted to go back home. And it's like, no, absolutely not. I'd be so annoyed if I had like 3/4 of a meal left and someone had just cleared it. If you're being paid for this service, you need to actually carry out this service for as long as possible. Some people are pointing the fingers at the wedding coordinator, and Brianna says that basically the catering company and the coordinator were not really in communication, because the catering company, whenever they were told, like given direction by the coordinator, would just completely ignore, dismiss, and just override anything. Brianna really likes the coordinator, and apparently they like made her cry at one point, the coordinator, when she was just trying to do her job.
Amber is an absolute professional and I will recommend her forever. She's calm, she's detail oriented and respected in the industry. But Catering Made Simple staff ignored her time and time again, waved their hands at her when she tried to ask questions, and dismissed her completely every single time. Literally ended up in tears on my wedding day because they refused to listen or work with her. They kept going over her head to get to me. Leah took it even further. Told Amber that she planned to pull me, the bride, aside during the reception to tell me how much she didn't approve of my choice of a coordinator. My mother and maid of honor had to physically step in and tell her absolutely not. Can you imagine a catering staff member threatening to confront the bride on her wedding day to complain about somebody they hired?
But yeah, people were pointing the fingers to her. Coordinator should have seen the cake and should have rectified that. But apparently, according to Brianna, they had set up the cake whilst the coordinator was off monitoring something else. That they did it so quickly. Now, if that is the case, I reckon they did it so quickly because they didn't want the coordinator noticing and stepping in, because you must have known. They must have known that that doesn't look right with the cake on the board. Do you know what I mean? Like, surely you're looking at it and you're like, something doesn't look right there. Okay, so after all this is said and done, Brianna does go to Google and she writes a very, very, very lengthy Google review. Now, from my own understanding, Brianna did have a conference call between Carl, myself, my husband, my mother, and the wedding coordinator and Amber to discuss catering shortcomings. So basically people within the catering team, and then her coordinator, her husband, her mum, like basically everyone was having this phone conversation to try and get hold of Greg to be like, yeah, a lot of things were not right with this. Following on from that, I believe Brianna then decided to post a Google review. And from that point, the catering company were not willing to have any more conversations with Brianna until she deleted that review, which, by the way, everyone is entitled to be able to leave a business review. Everyone. This is ridiculous. So she then shares the series of text messages. The text message from Carrie, who was meant to be the main point of contact, but she wasn't even there on the wedding day. She said, "I spoke with Greg. I'm so sorry. There is nothing I can do. He said this. At this time, I am not open to further discussions on the matter. However, when the bride is willing to take down the post on social media, I'm open to having a professional conversation." And Brianna said, "That's okay. I'm positive he will see the video review and written review and have a change of heart. In all seriousness, thank you for your help and for hearing out what we had to say today. Carrie, you have actually been helpful throughout the process, and Greg's avoidance does not reflect who you are as a person." Carrie then says, "Unfortunately, this is all out of my control. I'm devastated, and please know that all of your posting hurts me directly. Please take care. I wish you all the best of luck. I wish things were different." And the mum then says, "Truly a shame that the owner has come to this decision when he had the opportunity to bring some sort of comfort to a nightmare situation. This is our experience as a whole, being many of our family and friends were affected by catering made simple's unprofessionalism during the reception as well as after by the lack of attention willing to be given to this terrible situation. We will not be silenced, nor should we be. I also thank you for your time today, Carrie, as your listening ear and willingness to help will be in the notes. Unfortunately, as we all know, the power of social media and word of mouth travel beyond belief." So obviously no one is happy about this.
Now they are just removing my reviews altogether. For anyone that wants to read the full review before I get the chance to post it here it's on Catering Made Simple's Facebook page. You're going to have to go to their Facebook page and hit the see more option so that you're able to see everything. All of the pictures and the full review is all right here. I've reposted my review on Google 3 times. There's their page on Google. Here's the Google review that just keeps disappearing. Now I've even called them out on Facebook for it. So now this is all underneath that big review on Facebook.
Greg has started pushing it even further and actually just deleting the Google reviews. Brianna keeps on putting them back up. He keeps on deleting it. She's now gone to Facebook. He went to this group called Chicago Brides ISO Wedding Vendors. So went here and then posted all the deets and receipts and everything. And Greg actually responded and then kicked her out of the group. What is going on? He said, "Hi Brianna, thank you for taking the time to share your feedback. While we're sorry to hear your wedding day came with challenges, we want to clarify a few points specifically related to the catering services we provided. Your event was planned and executed as a plated dinner service, as confirmed in your contract and all pre-event communications. The buffet was never discussed or set up. Also accommodated the dietary restrictions provided to us in advance, including preparing a plain chicken breast for one of your guests." How is this even relevant? Why bring up one singular plain chicken? Oh, also, Brianna does say that the food was actually really, really good. There was never the matter with the food. It was just everything else. The truck mentioned was a rental vehicle, not one of our catering trucks. It It experienced a mechanical issue after dinner service was completed, and we worked to have it removed as soon as possible. As far as the wedding cake, since it was provided by an outside vendor, we were not responsible for the cake details. That said, we've always been happy to assist with setup when clear instructions are given. If specific expectations weren't met, it's important those directions were clearly communicated to the person responsible for executing them. We're always willing to help during the event if expectations are clearly laid out. We stand by the professionalism and work of our team and wish you both all the best moving forward. Then says that she was banned from the group because of her negative review, likely due to a complaint to a moderator by Greg. So Greg is basically like trying to silence Brianna's views, but you can still go and look at the Facebook posting. Now, people are saying to her, what you need to do is you need to sue them. And she's like, you know what? I have the time. I've got the time and the money. I can sue these people.
I have the time. Just have to exhaust every option before I get to that one. Looks a lot better in court when you do it that way.
I know so little about the law and what she would or would not be entitled to. So I'm not even going to try and guess it. I'm sure I've got some clever clogs in this comment section that can. But that's kind of where we're left at right now. It's not really progressing, and she's unable to leave any reviews whatsoever because Greg keeps on removing them.
So my review on the knot, it's the same as all the other ones. But of course, it got removed. That's not the newest review because they disputed it. This is an email from the knot. Pause to read. So I went ahead and provided every single thing they possibly could have needed.
If she could, the thing is, I'm really confused why the owner didn't step in. It's saying oh yeah, we handle everything, but she didn't even know that he was the owner, and he could have at any moment, yet he didn't, and he's here saying, we stand by our professionalism and us. It's just well, why didn't you step in? But yeah, anyway, that's pretty much all I had to say today. I will let you guys know if we've got any more updates with this cake, wedding catering fiasco. But I hope you guys have a wonderful day wherever you are in this world. Take care of each other, take care of yourselves, and I will catch up with you guys in the next video.